Two electric guitars. Same shop, same wall, same price tag. $1,300 each. One of them is an Eastman, and it has real binding around the body, a neck shaped by hand, and the neck glued into the body the old way. The other one is a Gibson, has a satin finish, no binding, and a spec sheet that quietly gets shorter the longer you read it. The cheap badge one is built in a workshop where they use hand tools, hot hide glue, and dovetail joints cut by a person, and where there is not a single computer-controlled cutting machine in the building. The famous one is not. Now here's the part that should bother you. Almost nobody walks out of that shop with the first guitar, and the reason is not tone, and it is not build, and it is not playability. It is the word printed on the headstock, and it is worth about $700 of your money. So this is 7 guitars built in China that most players walk straight past, what they actually go up against, and who really builds them. And then 3, where the American guitar genuinely earns every cent, because if I only gave you one half of that, I would be selling you something. Everything this channel knows about gear is in the Honest Gear Guide, linked below. Let's go. Before the first pick, let me be extremely clear about what this video is and is not, because I know exactly how this subject usually goes. I am not attacking Fender. I am not attacking Taylor. Both of those companies make instruments worth every cent they ask at the top of their ranges, and I have said so on this channel more than once. What I am going after is the middle. The part of the range where you hand over $2,000 for a guitar built to more or less the same specification as a $600 one, sometimes in a factory a few hours drive from it, and the difference in your hands is smaller than the difference on the receipt. And this is not about a flag. That matters, so I will say it plainly. The country stamped on a modern instrument tells you almost nothing about how good it is. It tells you what the labor cost. The variables that actually decide whether a guitar is any good are which factory built it, and to whose specification. And those two things have been quietly separating from the badge for about 20 years now. 2 ground rules. Every price is a real current street price you can go and check. And every single pick gets an honest catch, because a list with no caveats is an advert. Before we go on, there's something the shops never tell you, and most players find out the day they try to sell. One number, 3. That's what the same guitar costs when the headstock changes. Same factory, same wood. Your father knew what he was holding. Nobody had to tell him. The difference was never money. It was knowing. 58 pages of that knowing in one book. Necks, frets, pickups, finish. The repairs worth paying for, and the ones that end a guitar. The Honest Gear Guide. Link below. Back to it. Number 7. The one that costs $180, and the reason it is on this list is not what you think. Firefly. There is a whole tier of Chinese guitars selling around $180, and Firefly is the name most of you will have seen. And I want to start here because it sets the honest floor for everything above it. Here is the reviewer consensus, and I am going to give it to you exactly as it comes. The build quality is usually quite good. The pickups are generally poor. And the quality control is not stellar, which is a polite way of saying 2 of these off the same shelf can be noticeably different instruments. So no, this is not the giant killer. It is not crushing anybody. What it is a genuinely playable guitar for less than the cost of a set of pickups, which makes it a real option for a returning player who wants to find out whether they still enjoy this before spending properly. The honest catch is the whole pick. Budget a pickup change into the price and play the specific one before you buy it. Because on this tier, you are not buying a model, you are buying an individual guitar. And I want to be careful about who I am recommending this to, because it is a narrow group. If this is the only electric guitar you are going to own, Do not buy at this tier. Go up. But if you have played for 30 years, you already own the guitar you love, and you want something you can leave at the holiday house, take to a campfire, or hand to a grandchild without watching them like a hawk, then $180 for a genuinely playable instrument is not a compromise. It is the correct answer. Number 6. Harley Benton, the German catalog brand that is not German. Harley Benton is the house brand of Thomann, one of the biggest music retailers in Europe, and most American players have heard of it, and comparatively few have played one. Most of the range sits between $300 and $600 once import costs are counted, and the reputation is real. They are designed properly, built from decent materials, and priced far below almost anything comparable. But here is the fact that matters more than any model name, and it is the fact that makes this whole video make sense. That single brand is manufactured across roughly 20 different factories, spread across China, Indonesia, and Vietnam. 20. One badge. So when somebody tells you the brand is good or the brand is bad, they are telling you almost nothing, because the badge is not the thing being made. Consistency, not quality, is the variable here. The honest catch. Buy the exact model that players actually report on, not the brand. And remember that shipping from Europe and the import cost are part of the real price. Add them before you compare. And let me draw out what 20 factories really means for you, because it is the single most useful idea in this video. 2 guitars can carry the same badge, the same model family, and the same price, and come out of 2 different buildings in 2 different countries, built by 2 different workforces to 2 different standards. That is not a scandal, and it is not unique to this brand. It is how most of the instrument industry works now. It simply means the badge has stopped being the unit of information. The model, the year, and the factory are the unit of information, and only one of those 3 is printed where you can see it. Number 5. The Solid Top Acoustic at $499. Now we get to the acoustic side, and to a comparison that is uncomfortably clean. The Sire A3 from the Larry Carlton acoustic line sells at $499. Solid top, not laminate with a solid sounding description, an actual single piece of spruce through its thickness. The obvious comparison is the Taylor Academy series, which starts at $599 and runs to $799. Also, a solid top. So, on the one specification that decides whether an acoustic guitar will still be getting better in 20 years, these 2 guitars are on the same side of the line, and one of them costs between $100 and $300 less. The honest catch, and it is a real one. The Taylor earns some of the gap. It has a narrower nut for smaller hands, a carved armrest that genuinely makes long sessions more comfortable, and it was designed from the ground up around a beginner's body. If those things matter to you, that is not marketing, that is design, and it is worth money. But if you are an experienced player who wants a solid top and does not need the ergonomics, you are looking at the same law of physics for a lot less money. And since this is the pick where the money is easiest to see, let me put the physics in plain words one more time. A solid top is a single piece of wood, and over years of being played, it changes, and it gets warmer and louder and more responsive. Players call it opening up, and it is real. A laminate top is thin layers glued together, and the glue stops all of that from happening. A laminate guitar sounds the same at 10 years old as it did on the first day. That is the entire reason the words solid top matter more than any brand name on an acoustic guitar, and it is why a $500 solid top instrument will still be improving long after a $900 laminate one has stopped. Number 4. The $300 electric that reviewers cannot leave alone. The Sire Larry Carlton Electrics. The entry models, the S1 and the X1, sell at $299, and the line climbs through the S7 at $759, the S7 Ashtop at $869, and the L7DX at $949 at the top. Now, plenty of cheap guitars get a kind review. What made me put this at number 4 is the specific thing the reviewers keep saying. Guitar World, reviewing the L7DX, called it a high-quality alternative that might not only suit you better, but could save you a stack of cash. That is a strange thing for a magazine to print. And reviewing the S7 Ashtop, they went out of their way to say that the build is superb, that it plays beautifully, and that unlike other guitars in that price range, the electronics do not let it down. That last part is the whole pick. The electronics are exactly where guitars at this money normally fall apart. Scratchy pots, a switch that dies in a year, a hum that arrives with the summer. That is the corner that gets cut, always, because nobody in a shop tests it. When a reviewer stops and points at that specifically, they are telling you where the money went. The honest catch. This brand carries no resale story at all, and the line has expanded very fast. So read the exact model and the exact year, rather than trusting the name. There is a second thing worth knowing about this tier, and it explains why these reviews read the way they do. When a factory is building for a brand that has no name to trade on, it cannot sell you the guitar with a story, because there is no story yet. So the only thing it can sell you is the specification. That pressure is why the parts list on these guitars often reads better than the parts list on guitars costing twice as much. And it is also why the moment one of these brands becomes famous, the value tends to quietly drain out of it. You are buying a company in the part of its life where it still has to earn you. Now stop for a moment, because there is something underneath all 4 of those picks, and once you see it, you will not be able to stop seeing it. The word on the headstock stopped telling you where a guitar was built about 20 years ago. It has not told you who built it for even longer than that. What it tells you now, reliably, is what the marketing budget cost, what the dealer network costs, and what the name itself is worth as a name. None of those 3 things touch the wood, not one. And that is not a scandal. It is just how the business works. Names are expensive to build and expensive to keep, but you are allowed to know you are paying for one, and you are allowed to decide that this time you would rather not. And notice how the language moves the moment the price does. When a spec is being described honestly, you get concrete words: solid spruce, set neck, bound body, nickel hardware. Those are things you can read off a page and check with your own eyes in a shop. Then, right where the price starts climbing past what the specification explains, the vocabulary changes. Heritage, legacy, custom shop, signature, limited. Every one of those is a lovely word, and not one of them describes a single thing about the instrument. When the description stops telling you what the guitar is made of and starts telling you what the guitar means, that is the exact moment your money stopped buying construction and started buying a name. Hold that, because the top 3 are where it gets hard to argue with. Number 3, the thin line at $999. The Eastman T386, a thin line semi-hollow, sells around $999. I am putting it separately from the rest of the Eastman range because of what it competes with. A semi-hollow with a name on it costs, in the American ranges, roughly 2 to 3 times that, and that gap is not explained by the wood or by the work. The honest catch. Semi-hollows are personal. Feedback at volume is real, and this is not a shape everybody gets on with. Play one before you commit. And there is a reason this shape in particular exposes the price gap so badly. A semi-hollow is one of the harder guitars to build well. There is a center block to fit, sides to bend, a top to arch, and binding to lay into a curve. And every one of those steps is labor rather than machinery. Which means a semi-hollow is exactly where a workshop with skilled hands and lower labor costs has the biggest possible advantage over a factory that has to pay for the same hours in a high-wage country. On a plain, bolt-on solid body, the gap is small. On this shape, it is enormous, and that is why the number looks the way it does. Number 2. The acoustics that keep getting put up against the most famous name in the business. The Eastman E20 series. The same Beijing workshop I am about to describe builds this dreadnought line. And here's the thing that keeps happening on the forums. Martin owners keep putting an E20 next to their dreadnoughts, and then writing long, slightly uncomfortable posts about the result. It is now the standard recommendation for a player who wants that level of acoustic and does not have that level of money, and it has been for years, quietly, without a single television advert. The honest catch. Thin dealer network, so you may have to travel to play one. Resale is still maturing, and these are hand-built instruments, which means variation between individual guitars is real. Play the specific one. And here's the specific thing to look at on the spec sheet rather than taking anybody's word for it, including mine. Look for the words all solid, not solid top, which is the bar we set back at number 5. All solid means the top, the back, and the sides are every one of them a single piece of wood. And that is the specification that separates a serious acoustic from a good one. Then look at the finish, because a thin nitrocellulose finish lets a top move in a way a thick modern one does not. When you see all solid wood and a thin nitro finish at a price starting with a 1, you are looking at a spec sheet that normally starts with a 3. And number 1, the workshop in Beijing. This is the guitar that opened the video, and now I will give you the whole of it. The Eastman SB59. At $1,300, it has real body binding, a hand-shaped neck, and a set neck. At exactly the same price, the Gibson Tribute, the entry model in that legendary single-cut line, gives you a satin finish and no binding. But the price is not what makes this number 1. It is how it is made. Eastman builds every guitar it makes in Beijing, using a method borrowed from 19th century violin making. Hand tools, hot hide glue rather than modern adhesives, dovetail neck joints, cut and fitted by a person, and no computer-controlled cutting machines in the process at all. Now think about what that sentence would cost you if it were printed in an American catalog. Hand-shaped, hide glue, dovetail. Those are the exact words that carry a $4,000 or $5,000 price tag on this side of the world, and they are being applied at $1,300. And the only reason more players do not know it is that the name is unfamiliar and the country makes people flinch. The honest catch, and I will not soften it. The dealer network is thin, resale is still building, so you will not get out of it what you get out of an American name. And you personally have to get past the country of origin, which is a real thing and not a stupid one, because a lot of players have been burned by cheap imports and learned a lesson that is now out of date. Lead with the build, not the flag. Now the other half, and this is the half I would want if I were the one watching. 3 places where the American guitar earns it. First, resale. This is not a small point. It is the biggest one. A used American-made guitar from a famous name holds a floor under it that almost nothing on this list has yet. If there is any chance you sell it in 5 years, that difference can be larger than the discount you saved. And anybody who leaves that out of the comparison is not being straight with you. Second, the dealer and warranty network. When something goes wrong with a famous American guitar, There is a shop that will deal with it, a spare part that exists, and a process. When something goes wrong with a direct import guitar, you are shipping it, or you're on your own, or you are paying a tech out of pocket. Third, the top of the ranges genuinely is different. The upper American models are not the middle of the range with a better finish. Different wood selection, different tolerances, different hands, and in a few cases, a genuinely different instrument. The logo tax lives in the middle of a range. It does not live at the top of one. So here is the rule that comes out of all of it, and it works in any shop, on any wall, with any badge. Find the plain version of the same specification. Put the two spec sheets side by side and read the words that describe construction: solid or laminate, set neck or bolt on, bound or unbound, hand-shaped or machined. Then read the two prices. Whatever is left over after the specifications matches the name, and the name is a real product that some people are genuinely happy to buy. Just buy it knowing that is what you are buying. Now I want to hear from you, and be honest, because I know this one will divide the room. What is the guitar you own that came from a factory you would never have admitted to 20 years ago? And how long did it take you to stop apologizing for it? And on the other side, which American guitar have you owned that was worth every cent and you would buy again tomorrow? Both answers in the comments. I read every single one.